There's a barrister called Anna Morris, and she's complained today that YouTube censored her social media while she was investigating the issues of COVID-19. The pervasive influence of social media platforms such as YouTube and Twitter, now X, raises critical questions about who controls the digital public space and how these decisions shape public discourse, how conversations on this square, on the town square of our huge global platform, how this is monitored and controlled. And these platforms, essential tools for communication, education, activism, are increasingly weaponized by populists to manipulate narratives while selectively enforcing content moderation that risks silencing marginalized voices. The Anna Morris KC controversy, where YouTube removed her legal submissions about vaccine inquiries during the UK COVID inquiry, exemplifies this tension between censorship, corporate policy, and free speech. YouTube, as a dominant and very commanding and useful platform, wields immense control over content through its algorithms and policies that nobody quite understands. And Anna Morris's case highlights the difficulties for creators and public figures to discuss controversial yet legitimate issues. And it's made so much worse by the fact that you can't contact anybody in YouTube at all. Her video advocating for vaccine inquiry victims was removed for alleged violations by YouTube's medical misinformation policy. This instance illustrates: 1. Overreach in moderation. Legitimate evidence-based discourse can be labelled as misinformation, leading to the suppression of critical conversations. 2. A lack of transparency, because creators like Morris are rarely given clear explanations or opportunities for meaningful redress. And 3. The content creators are deterred from tackling sensitive subjects like vaccines, historical events, or global issues, fearing demonetization or removal. This trend isn't accidental. Social media platforms balance corporate interests, that is, the preference of the advertiser, with the immense task of moderating billions of users. Yet the result is a homogenized narrative that often leans towards sanitized or sanitized stories, or stories that duck uncomfortable truths. While YouTube often over-moderates, Musk's stewardship of Twitter, in contrast, demonstrates a laissez-faire approach to platform governance, and Musk's Twitter acquisition and subsequent actions, including reinstating figures like Tommy Robinson and amplifying far-right talking points, show 3 other points. 1, the weaponizing of free speech, where Musk claims to champion free speech, yet he selectively promotes divisive figures and narratives, blurring the line between freedom and the amplification of hate. 2, his or the way that Twitter now echoes and promotes populist agenda, his embrace of the great replacement theory rhetoric, his opposition to immigration. These reflect his alignment with far-right ideologies, and by doing so, Musk not only reshapes discourse but normalizes extreme views. And 3, Musk blocks critics and censors censors those people who dissent from his views on his platform, undermining the claim that there really is a free speech absolutist approach on Twitter. There isn't. It's still controlled. And populists have weaponized social media to bypass traditional gatekeepers, directly engaging with their base. Musk's amplification of divisive figures like Farage, while attacking Keir Starmer and Jess Phillips, illustrates the danger of populist leaders using platforms as personal megaphones. Platforms like Twitter and YouTube often amplify polarized debate. This algorithm-driven engagement prioritizes sensationalism over substance, amplifies outrage, amplifies conspiracy. It undermines real institutions that are working supposedly for our help, but it also informs them of these extremist ideas, and that all seeps into the system. It's almost impossible not to be infected by the rhetoric which is churned out minute by minute, second by second, by social media. Populist rhetoric delegitimizes democratic institutions. It rusts the very screws that hold democracy together and the rule of law, fostering distrust and division. The ubiquity of social media demands vigilance in holding platform owners accountable, and the Anna Morris case and the Musk's actions in the last few weeks highlight the need for clearer standards and appeals, not from some sort of government body. No individual nation can stand up to this affront unless it wishes to live in isolation, unless it wishes to be insular, unless it wishes to exile all social media, or create its own social media like Russia, and even then everybody would go off onto a VPN. It needs to be done by the platforms themselves. Platforms must implement transparent moderation policies. They must ensure fair treatment of creators and users, and they must be accessible. Governments and civil society must address the concentration of power in platforms, preventing them from becoming tools of authoritarian or populist manipulation. And efforts to regulate platforms should reflect a balance between protecting free speech and curbing harmful content, with robust safeguards for marginalized voices. Ultimately, social media is not just a mirror of society, but an active participant in shaping the way society develops. Allowing unchecked power to dominate these platforms risks a digital public square where truth is sidelined and power dictates discourse.